Hello, welcome to my instruction video about how to restore the drive on your Bell & Howell projectors. In England it's the 1443, 1462 and 1481. In America there are many different versions. These projectors stem from America and then they were converted for the English power supply. In England it's 240 volts, in America I believe it's something different. So there are many different projectors in America. They all have this inherent same fault. The drive rubber cones, they perish, and you've got to show your film, and the take-up spools do not work. This is the problem you have, and there's in my listing in this video a name of projectors in America which will be identical, and I swear these are identical inside. It's all to do with the clutch mechanism and the cone rubbers. So when you go to play your film, you will notice that the film will feed through, but the take-up spool will not work. This is again to do with take-up spool drive rubber cones. So to go about fixing this problem, the first thing is to do is remove the main rear wheel take-up spool. As you can see, if you have projectors with counters, there's a rubber band that drives the counter, so that needs to be kept there in place. First thing we need to do now is take off the circlip which supports the take-up spool up, and it's a simple matter of just taking out the spool, undoing the rubber, make sure it's still in place at the other end. There are 6 screws that hold the back cover on. These need to be removed. Here you can see the problem, not evidently at the moment, but that's what you need to get into. This is where the drive piece fits within the clutch assembly. You can see the clutch assembly I've removed from a different projector. And with the drive cone in place, it should fit snugly. And when the motor is running, it drives the discs in a particular way, forward and backwards. The clutch mechanism which provides drive to the take-up and also rewind. As well as this piece here, there's 2 other drive cone rubbers that support the disc, the clutch disc, and they are here and here. These rubbers, all three in total, perish. And the telltale sign is you'll find these in the bottom of the projector when you open it up. Don't be discouraged about this. The end of the clutch shaft sits here. You need to remove the screws here, here and here. 3. Always keep things nice and safe. Don't lose anything. Once you've removed those screws, I call them screws, but they're actually, I think, about 4mm hexagon nut. You can then remove the plate. When in rewind mode, the take-up spool is driven by this shaft here, and it's driven by a set of cogs which are set in place behind the plate. This needs to be removed, and it's a simple matter of just taking the plate out the way. Notice how the drive for the fan is on a rubber band. This can be removed completely. And in place, to keep the drive for the rewind arm, it's clipped into place here. You can see, remember that on putting back together. This can now be removed. Here you can see when the plate is in place, it drives the rewind shaft. At the moment, this just needs to be taken out the way. For ease of access, you can, if you want, remove these screws and remove this shaft completely, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary if you carefully place the shaft above here, one of the lugs for the mounts for the plate. Here you've got part of the take-up drive. This just simply pulls away, and discard it in your safety tray. What we have to do now is to undo this lug and take this plate off. It's important because that's the only part of adjustment that you'll need at the end of the process. Here in this shot you can clearly see the brackets supporting the other two supporting cone rubber shafts. The screws need to be removed here, here, here and here. Removing of this plate that secures the clutch to the body of the projector is critical. This screw here, or nut here, provides a certain amount of adjustment. It has to be removed. In order to remove the plate. Remove the plate. The clutch is not free yet. These have to be removed first. These are the same size screws as the plate we took off earlier here. Again, don't forget to put them safe. As for many things, I forget how many times I've done this and forgotten things. So I'm taking the plate out completely. Yeah, I remember now. That gives you full access to the shaft. You may need two hands for this. This shaft should just come out if you tease the clutch to one side. What's falling down, as you can see, is a washer, which is important. I'll just retrieve it. Now the clutch should be ready to come out. Make sure that the drive on the projector is either in forward or reverse. It gives you play to remove the clutch mechanism. Being careful to keep everything in place. There are delicate washers here, so make sure you keep everything if it comes apart slightly. So I'm removing the clutch in one piece, and again put it in your safe box here, and if you look carefully you can see the problem of the projector. The main drive shaft cone rubber has completely perished. It was not even driving the disc. So this one has perished. The other two rubbers I will show you. This drive cone rubber coupling comes out now quite easily, as it's held in place by pressure of the wedge of the clutch mechanism. It just comes out, it's just sprung loaded. And there again, if you see, there's no sign whatsoever of a drive cone rubber on there. It's completely perished. So put that in your box. Right, that concludes the strip down, and now for an inspection of the cone rubbers and how to go about replacing them. Okay, in order for this clutch mechanism to work, it needs to be driven by the main drive roller cone. As you can see here, it's completely perished and is no longer operative. If you look carefully at the two supporting cone rubbers, where's the other one gone? You'll see they haven't actually perished, but I'm not sure if the camera can pick this up. Where it's been standing for such a long time, it's actually worn flat through pressure that's been left on the being pressed by the pressure that's being pushed against the clutch for a number of years. They haven't actually corroded or perished at the moment, but I will replace them in a matter of course whilst the projector has been taken apart. Here are a set of, it's a bit bright, I better just take one out. Here are a set of cone rubbers that have been 3D printed to what I believe is a perfect specification. Now, if I put this on the main drive roller shaft, it fits snugly. And comparing them against the originals, it's a very close match. So hopefully these drive rubbers, and I've been told on good advice that these work perfectly, these are going to do the work of the projector. You see how snugly it fits? and they are actually not made of plastic, but of a more of a rubberized consistency. So they have a kind of tire grip to them. So I will go ahead and replace all three of these, and we'll now go back to reassembly. Reassembling is just the opposite order of disassembling, with the added notes. Reassembling with the drive shaft cone rubber complete with spring is a simple thing. It must connect with the shaft. Make sure it locks in. As you can see, there's an hexagonal connection here. It must lock with the shaft, so the shaft bites it and connects, and the spring is under pressure. So the first thing to do is this. If you look carefully, you can see I've got the shaft engaged, because it's now spinning the motor when I turn the cone. And make sure that keeps in the same place. Reinserting the clutch mechanism is quite a fiddly process, but bear in mind that this with the groove must be on the outside of the projector, i.e. on the take-up spool side, because this is where the circlip is to keep the spool together that we took off earlier. Apart from that, the clutch is quite identical, but bear this in mind. This has to go this side, obviously. So with one hand, make sure the shaft is still engaged. Poke the clutch through the aperture, and if you look, squeeze shaft over the clutch over the drive cone. That is the most difficult bit. When you're looking for what to do, is that these washers have to fit on the flat side of this surface here. I don't know if you can see it too clearly. So the rounded rest of the washer looks like a normal washer when fitted in place. You swivel this one round and you tighten up, but the flat part of the washer must be on the flat face of the casing of the projector, and it's the same for the other one. Sometimes I do them up just a little bit so nothing's going to go amiss, then I twist them around afterwards with some tweezers to get the flat spot. It can take a bit of time to do, takes patience, and I usually do it when the projector is on its side like this because it's easier. This projector here is an old unit that I was using for a project that I no longer need. All in all, they can be difficult to fit. Just ease the clutch to one side and let the cone rubber go inside. Then with your fingernail on the washer, make sure that the shaft fits in its rightful place. And if you've got it right, it clicks just nicely. As you can see, the washer, the rounded part of the washer is where it should be. I'll do the same for the other one. Once you've completed this step, your projector clutch assembly should look something like this now. Incidentally, one thing I didn't mention upon screwing the screws back into the plastic cabinet of the projector, don't screw them too tightly because they are liable to be threaded, because it's only plastic and not metal. So be very careful. Right, now we can go about replacing the clutch plate mechanism. If you look carefully, it only goes one way round. It's the nobule bit that's always greased, and the bits here that are always greased, that always goes towards the clutch, and it fits here, so don't get confused about the amount of holes that you see. There, that's the correct place for it to be. Followed by locating the plastic locating nut, and remember what I said about plastic. If you tighten it too much, it has a difficulty of being stripped. And replacing the rewind drive cog shaft is quite a simple matter of just pushing it on again. The reverse of what we did in the first place, making sure it locks home with the clutch mechanism, as you can see. Then we push down our shaft that we kept up earlier, and just checking that it looks like it's going to line up just nicely when the plate is added. Replacing the plate is a simple matter, making sure that the take-up drive on the rewind fits snugly into its correct groove, and it should go in with a click. At the same time, making sure that our fan goes into the rubber, and I find that sometimes a tiny bit of washing up liquid just helps it to fit home. So if you can do that, maneuvering that all in one time, that's what you should be doing. So that, click, and push that home. If you saw that, home, and we're almost there. I should add at this point, there's the half moon shape of the shaft should fit for the aperture. Once you've done that, you can do the screws up. Again, making sure that you don't tighten them up too much, because they are only, after all, as you can see, just a self-tapping screw. So if you ruin the thread, you lose the bite, because the casing is only plastic. Actual fact, I'd say the majority, easily 60-70% of this projector is plastic. So just tighten them up gently, not too much. Once this has all been done, we can go about putting the take-up pulley back into position with the circlip. Make sure it clicks in. You'll find it goes in with the clutch. You feel that click in, yeah? I'm quite fortunate as I've got probably about 2 or 3 of these projectors around in different parts of repair and stuff, and I've got one for spares, and I don't think you saw that when I first undid this. I lost the circlip, and I've done the hoovering since. So that's a spare part I had. So it's important that you do not lose anything. And you click that into place, just like that. it's important, whatever you do, these plastic tubs are fantastic. Plastic tubs with the top and everything. Just don't lose any spring clip or anything. I'm fortunate enough that I've got spares. I can at a push, if they know what they're talking about, I can provide. And then you go across here and you do the last bit here. For the counter, that the other projectors don't have this counter on, so the later projectors did. Now if you lose the belt here inside, don't panic, you can get hold of it, you just need to look where it goes into the pulley. So that's not the end of the world. So now we need to know, does the projector actually perform at all? Let's have a look. I'm editing this video as I go along. I haven't done the beginning part of it yet, the introduction. But one thing I will say, don't muck about electrics, and I don't endorse anybody opening up a projector with live electrics in it. But I'm doing this purely to show you, because I'm an idiot and I'm going to get electrocuted. I'm only joking. So I'm running the main power switch now. It's in neutral. If you look very closely, you'll see now that the drive cone is now running the clutch mechanism, and the stabilising cone rubbers are supporting the clutch in what it's doing. So that is good news, and that's what we want to see at this stage. Okay, so we're going to give it a test run in this state. The back's still not on, but I'm not worried about that. So again, we have, I've got it in, so I've got it set to forward projection, so the take-up reel is now working. So I need to do now is put it in neutral. It's all in neutral. And to rewind, I need this one to work. So I'm put it into rewind now. So it's telling me the cone rubbers, the drive rubbers are working perfectly. And on forward projection, I'm just making sure the counter's working. I'm not sure you can see that, but something's happening there, yeah. Once you've finished your tests, replace the back cover with the screws, not to over tighten them of course, and then the only thing is after that is to enjoy your home movies. I'll replace the take-up reel and the cover cap, and all remains to be done now is use a test film. Those of you who have a user manual with these projectors will know that that's in neutral, and to go forward as forward projection is up, and neutral again, freeze frame, and then to go reverse film downwards, which reverses the film. Then you go into neutral again, and if you want to rewind the film, you go across and press down for rewind, or press up for fast forward. That's fast forward and rewind, we should say. So let's switch the projector on. that is forwards. And you can see the take-up wheel is this is a test film I use. These projectors have an auto-load take-up spool, which automatically spools the film and takes up for you without having to manually do it.